You have to be strong in today's world. Keep your focus and up. You believe in how to achieve all your dreams. Keep moving forward. Never accept less than who you are. Live your best life. Be strong and free. It's back with Nahaja.
The Hit Back with Nahaja Black is sponsored by the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, BTC, and Carrie's Fabric and Uniform Store.
With Nahaja Black, it's a hit back. With Nahaja Black.
Good afternoon, Bahamas, and welcome to the Hit Back. I'm your host, Nahaja Black. It is a beautiful day here in the 242. I hope that everybody's doing well, that you are taking care of yourself, that you are living your best life. I do hope and pray that we are, taking care of our neighbors, especially after the PM's speech yesterday. Make sure that you know what your neighbors got. You don't want that scripture reading to be on you. You don't want that scripture reading to be on you. I saw we're going to talk about the speech. You have to talk about the speech. I was just thinking, oh my God, I have some ganap. Well, it ain't ganap season, but I got a ganap tree. I have to share. It's one of those things. Like, we have to be our neighbor's keeper. We got a good show for you today. My good friend Ca Newry will be joining us in a few minutes, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We've got the PM's speech to review that. We're going to have Wayne Munroe QC join us for a few minutes during that segment to talk about what they saw, and I'm thinking now that the Progressive Liberal Party are ready to unite. They are ready to unite with the Free National Movement, thinking that that's what's going to happen now, and all parties are going to come together. But today, people were touch and go with the PM speech. We're going to have a good time with this one. Also, we are going to have joining us Open Current senior partner, one of the senior partners for Open Current, who did the polling for recent polling that was talking about the two constituencies from Barnabas and Seabreeze and their ideas on what they got from this polling and what sort of polling should be done. When do we believe polling? So that's something that I'm looking forward to with Joey Gaskins as well. But topping the show, something that came to my phone early this morning was an article from Louisiana, from New Orleans. An article was sent to me by a good friend. And this article was talking about a vessel, a shipping vessel that was carrying infested lumber to New Orleans. And New Orleans said, no, Louisiana said, no, you're not bringing this here. Go somewhere else. It's infested with this particular type of beetle and apparently ants. And this vessel was having a hard time finding, finding somewhere to discard of this lumber. And ladies and gentlemen, you know how we go. We are the people that have no problem. Apparently, not all of us, not all of we, just some weird thing happens where we did this last year with the container ship that was burning off. Last year, I don't know if y'all remember, huge vessel was on fire with some toxic chemicals and they ended up in Grand Bahama. Well, apparently that's not a small deal. We can also take infested lumber. But when I spoke with people in the Department of Forestry, they were unaware of this vessel, what was on this vessel, alarmed that this vessel was being received in country. First, that was alarming to me that the Department of Forest, the Forestry Department was unaware of this. And as you question, what are the loops? How is this even allowed to happen? But then I find out that on the ground in Grand Bahama, persons were not aware of it either. So they were receiving this lumber. So it's been received allegedly in landfills. And the question is, how did this happen? What is the environmental impact of this invasive species of beetle? So, none other. I have to introduce to you a college friend of mine, much smarter than me, did far better in university than I ever did. I mean, I'll tell you now, far better. He's by far one of the smartest beige people I know. I just throw that out there. My good friend. And I want to make sure I get it right. I want to introduce him properly because I don't think I've had him on the show since I moved to Guardian, but I'm so happy that he said yes. He's an ecologist with more than 20 years of experience in the islands of the Bahamas and has worked on marine and terrestrial endangered and invasive species research and management. He has represented the interests of the Bahamian and Caribbean people on national committees for biodiversity protection and supports the development of national standards as chair of the Technical Committee on Environmental Management and Protection under the Bahamas Bureau of Standards and Quality. This gentleman owns Science and Perspective and shares scientific knowledge through the brand on social media. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to my good friend. He was just too smart then. I blame him for bad grades in biochemistry. I'll tell you that story later. But my very good, brilliant friend, Dr. Ancileno Davis. Ancileno, how are you, Doc?
Hey, I'm fine. Thank you very much, Nahaja. Thank you for that excellent introduction. And I'm happy to be here to share some of my knowledge with the Bahamian people and just really to discuss what, not just the science behind what an invasive species does and what we're talking about with this marine transport, but also the perspective from the Bahamian people's perspective. And I think that's often the most important part.
Well, give us the lowdown, Dr. Davis. Give us the intel from when you woke up this morning or yesterday. How did this news come to you? And what was transported? What is landed in Grand Bahama?
All right. So I got the message through Science and Perspective, which I run on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and multiple people send me the same article. And then through the Beings Network, which is Bahamians educated in natural and geospatial sciences, and you can find us on Facebook. But what happened was in New Orleans, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials, they found out that this boat had a bunch of scrap wood on board, basically. And in investigating the scrap wood, they kind of asked, why you have this bungled up pile of wood on your deck? And it turns out that they had a shipment of aluminum that they took to Mexico. But when they got to Mexico, the Mexican officials said, you can't take that wood off of your boat in our country because it's infested. So they left it on their boat and they went to New Orleans with this infested wood. When they got to New Orleans, the experts in New Orleans, they identified these beetles and they said, no, that is a bad invasive and we don't want it within our borders. We don't want it in our forests and we don't want it affecting our agriculture and forestry industries. So they say, keep it on your boat. You can't offload it here. And then they sent them over to us. And apparently within the last day or two, that has been offloaded in the Bahamas. So there's a few issues here. It came from firstly, the wood and the aluminum came from India.
God help us.
It made it all the way to Mexico. Now in Mexico, when that was identified and they were told that they could not offload that, we in the Bahamas did not get this information, right? We didn't know that, hey, this ship that maybe it has the Bahamas on the itinerary already, we didn't know that it has this flag on it, this red flag on it. At the same time, our next door neighbor, the United States, they get it, come to them. And this is a point where you say, you already went to one port that denied you. And then you come to try to bring it to us. We deny you. And, there's not enough communication to say where you go to the next step. And beetles can be really bad. They say that God has an affinity for beetles because there's all kinds of beetle species. But you get an invasive like this, one beetle that makes hundreds of babies, in a very short time in our climate, where it's always beetle mating season. They're happy to just keep on reproducing all the time, and you have a major problem.
Wow. Dr. Ancileno Davis on the show with us, ecologist and invasive species expert here with us on the show. Doc, I tell you, when I got the message and when I got the article, it just everything and the hell rose up in me, because this is not the first time we've done something like this. No. And my frustration is, how are we viewed? how is it that we're not as knowledgeable as need be to catch these things at port? Is this an issue? Because I've heard voice notes of Grand Bahamians who are livid that they were not told that this was infested. It's now at a landfill. And
Yes,
go ahead.
There's so much that goes into it, right? Policing these things, and I say with all science, it's not that the beetle is there. For you to get that data, you need to have the beetle there, and you have to have a person that's trained to identify the beetle.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to have a mechanism for reporting. So luckily today we had the beings network was alerted to it, and we were able to fire out this information to a lot of the important actors, forwarding it to the emails of the Department of Forestry, because when those beetles start chewing through our pines, we won't be able to sell those pines anymore. We had to send it to the Ministry of Agriculture, because those beetles and those ants, they can heavily impact our agricultural sector if you get them on land over there. Then you have all the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. You have the National Security Ministry, because this is a maritime shipping thing where someone is knowingly bringing an invasive species into the country, a pest, a harmful pest, bringing it into the country as part of their shipping, and then we're accepting it, where they come to our port, and they say, hey, take this trash for us. And there's a lot to unpack there with ships coming into the Bahamas to offload their garbage.
Yes, that's a whole other thing there.
Yeah, that's probably a whole nother show.
Jeez.
But this is something that we were able to get a really quick turnaround and send this information out to a lot of government agencies. But we just got it today. You see what I mean? So on the 17th is when they landed in New Orleans.
New Orleans, yes.
Right. So that's already 12 days ago. That's, that's almost 2 weeks. And before that, they was in Mexico. And I know Mexico, their ports in Mexico is a little ways away from New Orleans.
Yeah.
Right. And so maybe we need someone who speaks Spanish and could interact with the Mexican authorities and also knows the science. Maybe we need someone that is, on the political side, where they're interacting politically with these international agencies, as well as knowing the science. And of course, at the very least, we need Bahamians who are educated in science and they are willing to work in these industries, because right now, this could be a major penalty for this shipping company who's bringing something, who's knowingly bringing in a harmful insect pest into our country. And so we need to stop being the country that says, oh, your country doesn't allow you to drill for oil with all these like random slackness. Come drill here. Yeah. Or your country doesn't allow you to offload all of your waste from your ships. Come and offload it here. That's not who we need to be anymore. We know that we're right in the shipping lanes that everyone uses. Charge them and charge them appropriately. You're never going to charge them so much that a ship is going to drive all the way around the Bahamas to avoid our exclusive economic zone. There's no way that you're going to be that stupid to charge them that much. But you need to charge them an appropriate amount to know, hey, we need to charge you enough so that we can police you.
That's right. That's exactly right.
If you do anything that's outside of our laws, then we're going to hit you even harder to make sure that you don't damage our resources.
Ancileno Davis, Dr. Davis here on the show with us. So from what I was told and from what I've heard, you've got Grand Bahamians who are upset the vessel has landed. We've gotten stuff in landfill, some still at one marina somewhere and some at a landfill. And this is coming from sources in Grand Bahama at this point. Let me ask you though, tell me about these invasive species, both the beetle and the ant. What can we expect? Is it too late to deal with this? I have so many questions, but you start off.
So there's a lot of issues. Firstly, the beetles, they're burrowing. So they're inside this wood, they've tunneled through the wood, and once it makes it to the landfill, if that's mixed in with other wood and some of it escapes, falls off the truck or whatever, these beetles, it might just be a few larvae, maybe 20 larvae, maybe 30 larvae, but once they get to grow up, once they get to mature and they come out of that piece of wood, beetles fly.
Yes.
Right? So that means the entirety of Grand Bahama is exposed. And when they get to the end of Grand Bahama, you know what's next? The whole chain of the Bahamian Islands, right? All of Abaco. And that's how birds migrate down that every year. And these species, they reproduce so fast that you could go from a few hundred to hundreds of thousands in just a year or a few years. And that isn't something that we can handle. We have our National Forestry Act is in its infancy. So we have this idea that, we have pine trees now, we could just get off and running. Maybe we could sell some of it for lumber. That Abaco pine that they built Harvard University with, that's some strong pine. Yeah. So now everyone wants their little Harvard. Maybe we could get some money from that. But our pine trees just got hit from Hurricane Dorian, right? So now that's another issue. You have a bunch of standing dead pine trees that they also don't have their natural defenses against a beetle invasion like that. So that means these beetles, they have a free-for-all that they could get on the island and they could just take over, right? And so when our little pine trees try to come back, there's so many of these gangster beetles, they can't even survive in the streets. You know what I mean? So we have to think about all of these mounting impacts. And then the Bahamas, we're such a little country. We always feel like, we can't tell them no, they can't come, because then we're going to lose that money. Yeah. Right? We're going to lose that money. But guess what? We don't want that type of business. Mm-hmm. Right. If you have a client that comes inside your business and he licking the glass and throwing down your stuff, no, you have your security and you put them out. And then your other clients know, the Bahamas is doing good business. Let's go to the Bahamas. People know that's a quality product there. And then you have the good clientele, the good people visiting you, and that elevates your country. But we can't be suffering like this, and we can't. Sometimes it's hard for us to fight back, but we need these standards, these
Let me ask,
standards.
Dr. Ancileno Davis, we're talking about this, I think, catastrophic event of this vessel. I actually tried to reach the Minister of Environment and Housing. I haven't gotten a response from him as yet before the show. I wanted to find out, Ancileno, can you burn? Can you spray? What can we do? Is there anything we can do at this point, or have we just, you're the invasive species expert. Is there anything we can do? And have you heard how much has been put into the landfill at this point?
So right now there isn't really good information. I have from different reliable sources that it's already been taken off the boat.
Yeah, that's what I got as well.
And carried to a landfill somewhere. But right now, we don't really have good records of when something comes into the landfill. Where did it go?
Yeah.
Right? Who took it there? How much of it was it? And then I'm not particularly familiar with this beetle, right? And so there's a situation where you mightn't be sure what stages they're at. There might be a mix of beetle eggs, beetle grubs and larvae, and the adults all inside that bungalow piece of wood. So as soon as you light that, the ones who can fly, they're gonna bug off. No pun intended. they're gonna bug off and fly somewhere else, right? But then with the pesticides, that's an issue where, if you find something like this on a boat, do your customs officers call an agriculture officer or an environmental officer and treat it there? Because then you have pesticides in the water, right? It's such a complicated issue. For invasive species management, the first thing is early warning and border protection. So you don't want it here in the first place. You don't want to deal with the invasive species after it's in your country.
It's too late at certain points.
Right. Yeah. You want to know what's going on beforehand. And once it's here, there's, there are pesticide options. But we need to have standards in country so that when something like this happens, who has the pesticide, that they're trained to apply it properly, because you don't want to go and apply it and spritz it on a couple of them beetles and they get a little sick, they get a little cough, and then 2 weeks later they're like, oh, now they're stronger and you can't even
That's right.
pesticide on them anymore.
So they got a little cough.
Right. So you want to make sure that you deal with them, you knock them out completely if they do get into the country right away. And we do have regulations inside our agricultural legislation. We have a plant protection order. So if an officer of the law detects that you have some plant with some sickness or something like that, they can confiscate that and destroy all of those.
Yeah.
The issue is this falls into this weird gray area because this was packing materials. This was packing materials for a different product, and it's no longer really considered a plant, and it was kind of rubbish when they brought it there. So it didn't have that same agricultural inspection, right?
Right.
And you didn't need the phytosanitary certificate and stuff. So it's these things that we have to deal with.
Let me ask you, Dr. Ancileno Davis joining us, ecologist and invasive species expert joining us on the show. And if you're just tuning in, it's because we're having this discussion, Dr. Davis, because we have great sources that have said that at this point, that vessel has been on the island of Grand Bahama. We have offloaded this contaminated, infested wood on island into the landfill in Grand Bahama. This vessel was turned away from Mexico, turned away from New Orleans, and politely set sail to the Bahamas, knowing that they had an invasive species, and we accepted this, but unknowingly to us, right? And again, persons in Grand Bahama are livid. Those who accept it into the landfill are frustrated. Those who have it and know that, hey, it's sitting at certain spaces, they're very disturbed by this. So there's that somewhere along the line, we've fallen off. That information is lacking. And when we go back to the border, because this beetle and the ants that you even mentioned, they're very concerning, right? How is it? What I'm curious as to finding out, where is the lack of information or knowledge at which point? Because should something have happened, some notification being made? And this is where I guess I have to call immigration as well and customs and figure out what is the process. But how is this allowed to happen? We've done this before with other things, toxic fumes. Someone in Grand Bahama, C. Alan Johnson, said we did it with wasps. We got a cane toad invasive species in my area even. Where is the breakdown in this process at the border?
So for me, one of the things that I try to pride myself on is that I start the responsibility with me, right? All Bahamians need to start educating themselves. You as a Bahamian, even if you're just a forklift operator and your job is just to take the trash off of this boat, if you have it in your mind that you're protecting your country from things like this, when you go to take that off that boat, you're going to say, hey, that wood has things crawling on it. Do we have the proper paperwork to make sure that that's good, right? If you get this forward, this WhatsApp message. Like, oh, check out these weird beetles was inside this wood. You know, at least 2 out of your 10 friends, they should be able to say, oh, I need to forward this to the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Environment. Get on the Best Protect 242 app, which you can download in the Apple Store or whatever, or Google Play, and you can actually report that right away to Department of Environmental Planning and Protection. All Bahamians need to know that these things are there. And then we need to make dedicated funding for these types of things. Right now, we don't have enough officers who are trained and competent to visit all of these boats that are coming into the country. Of course, that slips through the cracks. You know, someone might have said, like, hey, this boat has a bunch of these weird creatures on it. And they say, well, is it a plant? No, well, that ain't my job. You know, you need to have Bahamians. We need to take their responsibility.
You need to be vigilant. Right. All of us on this.
We need to take that. But then we also need all of our ministries. And I'm calling out the, you know, Minister of Environment and Housing, Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Finance, Ministry of Tourism. All of these are tied together. And so we need to be interacting and working together and saying, hey, if you in charge of maritime industry and a boat comes here with something weird on it, call my ministry.
And stop accepting all the garbage. Why are we accepting garbage without any question? Like, when did we become the dumping ground for everything? I mean, I think Ancileno was just last year in lockdown. We were watching a vessel burning with toxic chemicals.
Where did it come from? St. Ignatius or something? It's
somewhere far, man. Somewhere dead far.
How you could drive a boat that far, the boat on fire, and come all the way to us? You know,
because we were the only ones. You understand?
Right? Because they are like, hey, keep your fire boat.
Keep whatever that is over there. No, bring it to Grand Bahama. As if Grand Bahamians haven't suffered through enough environmental issues in that island alone. It's as if, you know, it's just so frustrating to me because, oh my God, can you leave the people of Grand Bahama alone? Give them the best. Why we got to take the refuse? I really can't. Ancileno, we got to go. We have to get an update on this. Hopefully we have something. I appreciate you so much, Doc. For the record, you were the one that alerted me on this, and I appreciate you for it. Always vigilant, and I appreciate your efforts, and keep me updated, my friend.
Yeah. So I just want to remind all of our Bahamians, you know, you can follow me on @SciPerspective on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, but get that Best Protect 242 app. You see someone dumping in the bush, you see someone pouring sewage inside the mangroves, you see someone catching undersized fish and conch, you see someone stealing off, not if they're stealing off your neighbor tree, but if they
kidnap,
if they take in pines out of the forest and stuff like that, you could report them right away, and Department of Environmental Planning and Protection will respond to that, and they're very responsive. All right, so thank you very much for having me again, Nahaja. And
what's the app? What's the app? One more time.
Best Protect 242.
Best Protect 242.
Remember, the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection used to be the Bahamas Environment, Science, and Technology Commission. So that's where they get that best from. Yeah. But definitely go and check that out. And hopefully next time I'll get to talk to you about how to engage kids in the environment or something nice, instead of it always being some kind of
code red and fire.
Oil drilling and flaming boats and bugs and beetle infestations. But thank you so much for having me, and it's always great to see you.
Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you. Dr. Ancileno Davis, y'all. I don't know about y'all, but that was my heart's breaking. Like, really we're going to be the country that accepts the refuse of the rest of the world? Oh, come. And who gave the authority? Since the Department of Environmental Forestry was not made aware, and it's who gave the okay, right? Who gave the okay? I got my friend Ca Newry joining me. But CA, we're going to take a quick break. I know you was waiting that whole time. Thank you. Let's take a break. I want people to see you're still alive and well and kicking, and I will get your thoughts on it. But let's take a break. We'll be back after this. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM.
He take picture of that good for nothing boy?
Shh, you don't want Bella hair. You say that. You know she always say that's my good child.
So what he doing in Junior phone?
Oh, he there because the police looking for him. He on their wanted list.
Wanted persons in your phone now?
Yes, child. And when police want to find anybody quick, after something happen, they can send picture direct to your phone. Go to Google Play or App Store and search for Crack Crime Bahamas, then pick install and it will go straight to your phone.
There is also a section on missing persons.
Yes, girl. Everybody needs to get this app so police can tell us right away when these people go missing. Just like an alert system.
Yes, it has numbers for Crime Stoppers Bahamas, so you can call and nobody knows it's you. Call directly to Miami and give the information without giving your name or anything about you. I tried the other day, and when I hear Junior and his boys talking about where they hide those guns, I walk quick round the corner and call that number.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
COVID-19. Do not panic. Be prepared. Stay informed about local COVID-19 updates from trusted and reliable sources. Wash your hands regularly and be sure to have hand sanitizers readily available. Keep your surroundings clean and disinfect all surfaces that carry germs. Talk to your family and friends about protecting themselves and staying healthy. For more information on COVID-19, check the Ministry of Health's website at www.bahamas.gov.bs/health and the Bahamas Ministry of Health Facebook page.
This message brought to you by Bahamas Ministry of Health in conjunction with Guardian Radio.
When I had got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live at Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and they set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. That's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black.
And we're back. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM. I've got my good friend Ca Newry joining me. Ca, what's up, buddy?
It's always good to be here, Nahaja. It was a very interesting dialogue you had with Dr. Davis. I see the concern, but clearly there's a need for checks and balances, and that would be a lacking of. And I was trying to hear and listen for a solution. And I see the doctor recommended that we need to create an entire department just to look into that.
More funding.
I'm not sure how long that'll take, or if persons think at this present there's a need. But I can see that this happening again because we are unable, or at this present time, not communicating with various ports about what is coming in and leaving and what is banned in various ports. So I can see it happening again.
Yeah. And, the concern is, at this point, we haven't heard a statement from the ministry. Like I said, I reached out to Mr. Ferreira this morning, the Minister of Environment and Housing, just to get a word from him. But then we got sources that were, I think we could say credible sources that are saying on the ground that, hey, yeah, we've received these, right? They're here. And so that is very concerning to me that this type of lumber is on. And
I heard you said that it's in the landfill already.
Yeah,
right. Being
very concerning.
Off. I'm assuming the creatures are here in the landfill doing what they do.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happens from here. What do we do from here? Or we just accept it and say, well, it is what it is. Let's move forward and pray for the best. Hopefully.
Well, I don't think that's a pray for the best kind of thing. I think it is based on what Dr. Davis was saying, was that there are some considerations, but all of them have their consequences. So the medicine has its side effects. for a few areas and issues there. But we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But I want to bring on our guest who's joining us this segment. What, of course, our plan was, and our plan is, to review the Prime Minister's speech last night. But because we went a bit over, and see, you and I were going to talk on that one-on-one a bit personally, but because we ran over with Dr. Davis, I'm going to bring on my guest because of time and the promise of it. And so I want you to stay, of course, where you are. I've got to bring on Doctor. All of a sudden, Wayne is a doctor. And I see he's buffering now. He was fine the whole time, and now he went somewhere where there's no internet, apparently. But Wayne Munroe QC will be joining us because I wanted to get the thoughts of, the good QC on something else, but we decided to wait until after the debate. I mean, what'd you call that thing? The national address.
National address.
Yeah. Well, we lost him for a second, so then we can go to you. CA, what was your thoughts on the national address last night?
It was a sober address. And it was not bad. I was anticipating a little bit more, but the Prime Minister came on with a point. He continued throughout with the point, the sober, trying to express the seriousness of it. And I think that he accomplished that. I think that at the end, I think it was a little top heavy with the religious preaching. And I think he may have lost a number of Bahamians who was appreciating what he was said. But I think he was pandering to the culture of the Bahamian people where we are religious. And we know we have a pushback recently from the churches. And I think that his closing reminded the church that he too is Christian, that he too appreciate religion and Christianity, what's going on, and to remind them that they must also be our neighbor, and that his efforts is neighborly, and that they must return the affection of being neighborly and understand and appreciate what he's intending to do.
Sorry, all of that. I just had to smile because you went through a lot. Just it was a church service. Can I just say there were some things that I took away from it, right? Someone says it was an hour of power by the competent authority. So I thought it was fascinating. I think he did something that was different, that he took away from, and I don't want to say it first. I see Wayne walking around. I hope he can get on. So once you're ready, Wayne Munroe, let me know. What I thought was fascinating for me was that I think he kind of pulled the rug from underneath the Progressive Liberal Party and all of us, and did a political ploy. I thought it was I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but I thought it was sharp, right? Most of us, I was watching Clint, right? And his response. By the way, Clint had on a main jacket, but we digress. And Clint said afterwards that, y'all, some of your belly was about to drop, but he didn't do any new restrictions. A lot of people had pent-up anxiety that there was going to be some new restrictions. By not having or doing any restrictions, you walked away from that, I think, not with a negative feeling toward him, not with a negative feeling towards the Prime Minister. I think people walked away saying, instead of you being instead of him being that guy, this angry king, because he's this ultimate ruler, he was seen or felt subconsciously as a benevolent king. Oh no, there'll be no new restrictions. I love my people. And notice he did not say my fellow Bahamians anymore. His advisors told him, do not say my fellow Bahamians, right? He was saying my brothers and sisters, something like that. I thought it was sharp. I said, watch, you've been taking notes.
Activity was done.
Yeah.
And made it personable.
Yes. He had one message other than the campaign stuff of listing all of the accomplishments. And by the way, not accomplishments, but things that they're going to do, right? Which is another issue. Someone says, Nahaja, you need to stop. I thought was just interesting because a lot of stuff they're going to do soon come. We call that, and
Yes.
that's the case, right?
Yes.
Like they snuck up on them, and so we got some stuff we gonna do. We're looking into. We are going to make preparations for. So it was like you had us all waiting for this.
Yes.
But then you had the sermonette, and I think if that is his agenda, is to get everyone to take the vaccine, he had to seem compassionate. Right? He had to come across and not make this a case against those who are vaccinated versus unvaccinated, which he did before, which he kind of caused from the beginning. This is a monster of his own making, pitting the sides against each other. I thought that he had one thing to do, right? He said, my fellow Bahamas 6 times in the first. I missed all of that. And if he said it 6 times, I probably wasn't listening because I was waiting for the thinking at that point. But we digress.
I should have dropped. Yeah.
And he said the shoe wasn't going to drop, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll listen. So I think that I didn't walk away from it angry with the prime minister. I didn't walk away from it saying, well, he sucked. I thought he gave you a good tone. He gave you a better tone than what you've grown accustomed to.
Yes.
Was it a good, long, unnecessary 30 minutes with all that preaching? Yes.
Only the preaching was top heavy now, but the first 30 minutes was not bad. It's that last 8 minutes I said, oh Lord, when he's gonna stop.
When he started doing the preaching, then it became unbelievable. Like,
yes.
And you really think you're bishop now? Like, we really ain't buying the whole save thing. No, I mean, I'm sure he goes to church all the time, but I wasn't buying that he was deep in scripture for this one. But I thought for me was that, hey, listen, you didn't say anything bad. So what can the progressive liberal party say that was negative other than
they talk about the preaching?
Man, listen, they're killing the preaching.
They preaching. I tell you, the preacher was a little bit.
The preacher was a little bit. The preacher was much.
Of the minister of health, who is a Christian and very religious.
Oh, God.
And that speech reminded me of his typical speech.
Why always bring God into it, though? Why we always got to bring God into it?
God is important.
God is very important. But listen, I don't listen. They have issues even with the preachers with them right now.
Yes.
It ain't necessary to do all of that, extra. That's all I'm saying. It was a lot of extra.
And
but
Bahamians don't like religion in their politics. They tend to like to keep it separate.
Yeah, you're right on that. We got Wayne Munroe QC joining us. All right, Wayne, you heard me. You heard me trying to give the prime minister some credit, the competent authority some credit for not being terrible. And Ca Newry also has given him some credit for not being terrible, except we both agree that the prime minister, the competent authority, tried too hard to deliver that sermon in 15 minutes. What were your thoughts? I'm sure you loved it.
Well, I didn't listen to it. I don't listen to foolishness. I read it because I can actually either watch it in half an hour or I can read it in 5 minutes. So I chose to read it in 5 minutes. So if he delivered something different than what his office has up, then I'm at a disadvantage. Let me tell you what I saw from what he delivered. Mm-hmm. I saw a lot of ego. I have been trying to save your lives. That is idolatry. You're not supposed to have any God other than God. So if you want to preach a sermon, get familiar with the first commandment. It's the very first one. You don't have to go to the second, third, fourth, or fifth one. It is the very first one. But what you look at is he has this thing, and he starts by saying that over 18 months, they have been calibrating this. Now, what's the significance of this? A state of emergency is supposed to last no more than 6 months. Mm-hmm. So something happens suddenly, you're supposed to have emergency powers for no more than 6 months, and then you're supposed to put in place ordinary legislative protocols through Parliament where you have legislative oversight. Mm-hmm. That has not happened in 18 months. We still have no proposed ordinary legislation to deal with any of this after 18 months. Mm-hmm. And he unashamedly says it. For 18 months, I've been ruling as king. And you know what? I'm going to continue to try to save your life. Right? And that's not how the system is designed to work. He says, throughout this pandemic, as your prime minister, I have acted to save lives and livelihoods. What man talks about being able to save human life?
Oh, well, you're being too tough, Wayne. You're being too tough.
No.
You're being too tough, Wayne.
Nahaja,
you're a rough man.
Nahaja, if you can preach, if you can get biblical, then stay biblical. You can't be in and out.
He pivoted. He pivoted from the world into the word. That was a pivot.
So you'll be neither fish nor fowl. That's what happens when you do that. But the crazy thing is this. Are we surprised that we are the only country that admits vaccinated people untested, and we have a spike now, but he blames us? These same people who come in vaccinated, untested from the US, where they have Delta, where they have all these variants, when they're going back to the US vaccinated, they need a test. In all of our Commonwealth competitors, to come to their countries, they need a test because the CDC says if you're vaccinated, you can still contract and spread COVID. But in our wisdom, in our understanding of the science, we have decided that we're not going to test vaccinated people coming into the Bahamas. Well, that makes no sense to start with. So that's just my little attention to details. And then you start with the promises, because we know a promise is a comfort to a fool, eh?
Yeah.
Some people will promise $1,400. They get it yet?
Soon.
They get it yet? No, but they get it yet? Because when you look at this fella's speech, he say their revenue projections are as they were before Dorian. So there's no excuse not to pay the people.
We're booming, man. Everyone should be really excited. We're doing well.
No. But after all that bragging, not to get the people their little thing, they should tar and feather you. At least if I can pay you your money, right? I can say, man, Newry, things tough, you know. Things tough. I get all these children need pampers and milk and all that. Now I get it. This fella say, we are washed with money. But we ain't paying you all.
My God, that's a word. Now that's a word. That's a word.
Now one of two things is true. Either he lying about being awash with money, or he really don't care about these people. He thinks that they're actually, I forget what you call them, jabronis, who listen to anything. But if you have the money, as he says, why aren't you paying the people? And then he promised us that he is going to hire 49 medical staff and 111 nurses. From where?
That's a question. But
let me ask you something. Was the press permitted to ask him anything?
No. It's a national address. No questions. He didn't do the press conference. Don't forget.
No. National addresses come with questions at the end of them.
No, not us. Apparently not with this good prime minister. We don't.
And so you have no concept of transparency with him. So he could stand up and say any bunch of nonsense, and you don't get to scrutinize it. They say 49 medical staff. I know of a young lady who lives in Freetown, off Shirley Street, who was in the gynae ward where her mother died, who went to the the COVID center in South Beach, and they didn't renew her contract, a young female Bahamian doctor. So if you're not a young...
Did we lose Wayne? Oh, there you are.
Yeah. If you're not going to renew the contract of a young female Bahamian doctor, who are these 49 medical staff you hiring? And if you're not paying nurses what you owe them, making all of this money that you're making, that you bragging about, where are these 111 nurses coming from?
Well, you're hitting it, boy. You're hitting it hard. I like it.
But see,
I like it.
These are supposed to be the questions. If the press were permitted to ask questions, I have no doubt they would have asked him.
Let me ask you something. Okay, now we got Wayne Munroe, QC, joining us on the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. Ca Newry joining us as well. Someone said, Nahaja, stop lotioning the prime minister. All right, the speech was terrible. Okay, I got you. Said they felt like he was gaslighting them. Listen, okay, yes, the vaccine push was much. Okay, since we don't have vaccines in country, it was like overdoing it. But I felt as if he needed to have that because he was terrible at it, pitting people against each other, vaccinated versus unvaccinated. He had to come back and do something.
How did he stop it, Nahaja?
Well, he didn't solve it. All he said was we got to be our neighbors' keeper and feed our neighbors. Check to see if everybody's hungry, because apparently the food thingy, we can't feed all of them by the government standards. So we got to make sure people eat. and we got to make sure.
No, but the discrimination against the unvaccinated, how did he stop that? They put in place an emergency order that we now have to challenge that discriminates between unvaccinated persons. He did not change that. You just happy because he ain't lock you down for the holiday.
See, but isn't that a part of that benevolent thing? No, listen, you're right. My mommy birthday coming, and it's on Monday. So
big party.
You know what the joke is? The joke is, they say if you beat your wife 7 days a week, if you don't beat her on Sunday, you give her a gift. That's a coarse example, but that's what he does. He beats her 7 days a week, and then he say, I'm not going to beat you on Sunday. And suddenly we happy that he ain't beating us one day.
Oh Lord!
What type of nonsense is that?
That was a crash example, very crash example. But I get your point. Listen, let's take a break. We got to take a break for a commercial, but stay there, stay tuned. I don't want you to go far, because now let's get into the nitty gritty of it. Right? You hit on some good points. Someone said if there were questions and answers, that somber tone would have definitely gone. We know the Prime Minister doesn't do questions. He does not do questions. He did not do the press conference where there were the emergency orders. He let the Minister of Health do those questions. We get it. We understand the Prime Minister runs from question and answers. What did people think of the speech? And that's what I want to get to. Wayne,
it was a good speech. I'm not paying attention to Wayne Munroe. He's a politician. This is his job to critique and find loopholes. And he's doing a good job at that. But it was a good speech. I was moved by the Prime Minister, despite the promises would have no fruition as yet.
And there was no real solution in it. Things that are soon come. I think the disappointment for me was the soon come. The preaching thing. It's unnecessary, man. Unnecessary. Why does everybody feel? Why?
Pentecostal preaching too. So that's why Munroe is not happy.
No, but
Anglican, he would have gone more.
No. Didn't it shock y'all that we haven't had an epidemiologist on our team for 18 months?
Now we have one. We don't know who's the epidemiologist.
Forget that. Are you not shocked that 18 months out, he admits that there was no epidemiologist on the team? It's just these little details that cause me concern.
But we knew it. We can take a break. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja, Black Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We'll be back right after this.
Enjoy an elevated mobile experience with BTC, giving you
unlimited talk for the best conversations, unlimited data for all your online fun,
and unlimited roaming to stay connected while overseas.
For just $50 per line.
Unlock unlimited mobile talk, data, and roaming when you sign up for BTC Superfast Fiber Internet with speed starting at 100 megabits per second. Enjoy more great savings and value. Upgrade or sign up today. Visit any BTC store or btcbahamas.com. Conditions apply.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
You're listening to the Guardian News Network. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Taylor Ferguson. Here's what's making news. Thank you so much for tuning in. Talks are ongoing between the Bahamas and the United States about the donation of more COVID vaccines, according to U.S. Charge d'Affaires Usha Pitts. While she couldn't say when they will arrive or which vaccines we'll be getting, she did say the Bahamas will receive them soon.
Yes, absolutely. President Biden made the announcement of vaccine donations last month, and so we are in talks about getting them to the Bahamas.
No idea how early they could be here.
Well, I have an idea, but it's, I don't think you want me to give you my ideas.
The Bahamas is expected to receive 57,330 doses of Pfizer through the COVAX facility. Pitt said officials are in the strategy phase and stressed the importance of more Bahamians getting vaccinated. Most of the 90 beds available at the Rand Memorial Hospital are filled, leaving health professionals swamped both with COVID and regular patients. Hospital Administrator Sharon Williams pleading with the public to comply with health measures.
Our ward that deals with our critical patients are full, and that is our ICU, our ward at CAB, at the Cancer Society, and our med-surg ward. They are all full to capacity with patients waiting in our emergency room for bed space.
Police Commissioner Paul Roll brushing off questions on how officers intend to police the 1-hour restriction on church services while giving little detail. He did say police are beefing up efforts this holiday weekend.
We're going to be policing the emergency powers. I'm not going to be focusing on any one group. Like I just said a minute ago, I encourage persons to abide by the provisions of the emergency power orders. I'm not going to go into that discussion with the church and the pastors. I said already what we're going to do. Let's leave that at that.
The Royal Bahamas Police Force receiving 20 new police vehicles valued at $1.19 million from the U.S. government today. Police Commissioner Paul Roll said some of them will be sent to Abaco and Grand Bahama to replace vehicles destroyed during Hurricane Dorian.
It's going to be New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Abaco. We still have some more in the back. Those in the back are not completed as yet. But as early as next week, I'll have to identify those areas that we're going to be putting them to. And you'll start seeing them going out to the islands by next week.
That's what's making news. I'm Taylor Ferguson. AP News is coming up next.
Biden pandemic. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. President Biden calls on state and local governments to offer unvaccinated residents $100 from the COVID relief law to get vaccinated. One of the facets of his new pandemic proposal also included a requirement for federal workers to disclose their vaccination status to their agencies. House Republicans step up their criticism of the administration. New York Congresswoman Elsie Stefanik.
America is in crisis because of President Biden and Nancy Pelosi's failed leadership and their radical far-left socialist agenda.
Greatest increase in COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths in this country are among unvaccinated people in states and counties with very low vaccination rates. First Lady Jill Biden having a medical procedure today at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center to remove an object she got in her foot while walking on the beach in Hawaii. It happened after she had arrived there from Japan after attending the opening of the Olympics. I'm Tim McGuire.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Enjoy an elevated mobile experience with BTC, giving you
unlimited talk for the best conversations, unlimited data for all your online fun,
and unlimited roaming to stay connected while overseas.
For just $50 per line.
Unlock unlimited mobile talk, data, and roaming when you sign up for BTC Superfast Fiber Internet with speed starting at 100 megabits per second. Enjoy more great savings and value. Upgrade or sign up today. Visit any BTC store or btcbahamas.com. Conditions apply.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
All right, teacher, bishop, pastor, doctor, apostle, PM. Boy, you can preach. Here's a summary of the sermon. Get the vaccine, get the vaccine. All the PM say is get the vaccine. That's it. Get the vaccine, get the vaccine. He this the bush medicine for the vaccine. I ain't letting y'all put no poison in me. No, sir. I wasn't born to be no test of me. Nope. All I gotta do is drink some bush tea with some fever grass and some good sorosine. That's it. With some moringa and some Peruvian leaf. That's why you get your zinc and your vitamin C. Add lemon, put it in a pot and let it steep. And when I finish, all you do is drink. You see, you don't have to become no victim. It's all about building your immune system. That's all. The herbs is still a healing of the nation. They help you fight any disease what coming when he said, get the vaccine, he said, get the vaccine. Oh, look how many sick because of the vaccine. The civil servants, they still waiting for the $1,400 increment. Yeah, where the money is. They still waiting. Hey, you got shake, boy? For the $1,400. I ain't got nothing. They still waiting for the 1,400. You don't want to talk with that. I mean, you beat around the bush like it's weeding someone, yeah. And don't forget, bush medicine to the world. Civil servants still want their money. Show us the money.
You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black.
Perhaps Mr. Munroe commissioned that song. Everything he said earlier.
Everything he said, Solo put in that song. Boy, that was the gist of the speech. Get the vaccine, and Wayne said he still didn't mention that 1,400 for the civil servants.
But what's worse is get vaccinated with what?
That's the thing. That was the
it soon come. And see, the idea is these things soon come, and you're just not patient. Wait till
soon come. Well, we had a lot of soon come promises. Soon come from, when was it? June, then July, now August. Lord, I think it's tough sledding. But I didn't walk away angry with the Prime Minister. I just knew it was a long-winded speech that may not be as effective, but I didn't walk away more angry. I thought he did better this time with delivering his speech. And there were some, never mind, there's some things I have to say privately, I can't say on the air. But there's some things that he did where it was like, okay, all right, maybe I should just listen and not watch, but we digress. All right, so we got Wayne Munroe, QC joining me, Ca Newry joining me on the show. Some highlights. I love when they say highlights of the speech. Highlights. The only highlight I thought, like the major one, was no lockdowns. That was the highlight, the thing that didn't happen, right? But things that we were asking about, he mentioned 49 medical staff along with 111 nurses, like you mentioned, Wayne. Nursing support staff will be hired, not hired yet, whilst people dying, 100 deaths later, shortly. No date on that. To complement staff dedicated to COVID response at a total cost of $7.2 million. Well, that's good to know. 18 hospital beds. 18 is definitely woefully insufficient, and their beds, but thank God for 18 more. You could tell these things. I walked away from the speech, guys, as if this wave caught them by surprise. That's what I totally didn't see it coming. And I'm like, really? But again, I digress. 18 hospital beds for COVID-19 patients will be added to the Princess Margaret Hospital inventory, with the addition of 2 negative air pressure medical tents provided by the Samaritan's Purse International Aid Organization. Installation scheduled to begin on Friday. Again, why? Okay.
But at least we have a due date on that one. I know Friday come, someone will be.
That's because the Samaritan's Purse. Samaritan's Purse don't play.
No, but they have all this money. You see, when I get money in my pocket, I don't have to beg. I walk around and I slap my money. Buy Taylor's Industry. Outfitted, I get my money. My money is pre-Dorian money. I don't have to play. And that's what they say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But what is very shocking with no lockdown is this. Very early in his speech, if he delivered it according to his written thing, 3 paragraphs, and he says, throughout the pandemic, we have constantly adjusted measures based on the number of cases, hospitalization, deaths, and other indicators. Well, from what we're told, 1,600 cases is the highest ever.
Mm-hmm.
Hospitalizations, the hospital are full.
Mm-hmm.
Deaths are through the roof. The positivity rate is through the roof, more than ever before.
Yep.
But our reaction now is less than when you had nobody in hospital, nobody had died, and you had a lot of hospital beds. So how does that make sense?
Well, I mean, I got nothing to add to that. I mean, I just got to let that one simmer, right? Simmer. Who got the keys to the bimmer?
No, but you just so happy he lock you down. You ain't
that's why I say it. And this is why what I said with the speech. I do believe that the speech was where it was strategic. It was smart for him politically. Well, you guys are seeing the tea leaves, but I think a good majority of folks walked away saying, well, He didn't lock us down. So you walked away with a positive experience from that speech, not necessarily a negative one. And I thought it was that reverse psychology thing. Whoever is talking to him now at this point said, listen, y'all ain't got nothing to go on. Deliver it this way. The speech writing was better.
Yes.
And I don't know. I mean, really, I don't know if they told the speechwriter or he said, listen, we got to get some Jesus in this, and they ran out. Or was it like one of those, I don't believe the foreign speechwriters would have put that much Jesus in it, but they do their research. I don't know. I thought it was better.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. Come election time, we can see what people think about the fellow who beat them 7 days a week and then don't beat them 1 day of the week.
Well, I mean, you counting like it's 8 days out of the week there. I mean, 6 days in 1 day.
No. He beat you 7 days of the week. Then this week he said he ain't gonna beat you this 1 week. I don't think Bahamian people are that foolish.
No. Listen, I don't think so either. I'm not saying the Bahamians changed their mind. He didn't change their minds. I don't think he changed minds, because it definitely was a campaign speech. What I think it was where we didn't walk away with more resentment for him. It stayed level. It stayed the same. I don't think he won people over. Those who were pro F&M or who were pro Prime Minister, high fives, good job, PM, right? Those who are full on anti or party persons like yourself saw only the holes. And then those who are in the middle said, well, Jesus, at least he ain't lock us down.
There you go.
And, it may make much sense all that preaching, but he ain't lock us down. They ain't asking all the questions,
Now, what I'll say is this. In my view of things, everything has to be looked at in the crucible of how it works for the country. Mm-hmm. And you cannot be narrowly partisan. Mm-hmm. Because if election happen in September and these people get rushed out of office, then we're in. And so you have to be measured in your approach. And so when I look at it and I say 18 months in to supposedly a state of emergency, what is the plan? And you don't see one. And the reason that is important is because when one government leaves, if it has some sensible plan, you may nuance it, you may change it slightly, but you seldom sweep it out all the way. And you can see no plan whatsoever. And that's the reality of it. They don't have any ordinary regulations. For instance, let's say the state of emergency ends August 13th.
Which is questionable right now, because they sound like this is something that might change for them in their minds.
Well, let's say it does. Mm-hmm. There is no law that causes you to wear masks. There is no law that causes you to present a negative COVID test to enter the Bahamas.
That's right.
All of these rules go. Mm-hmm. So there has been no ordinary legislation introduced. And whether you're F&M, PLP, or ambivalent, that is the state of fact. And they have no plan. Running around and talking about, I'm trying to save your life. That's not very impressive. What, in fact, are you doing? What are the measurable metrics that we can measure to assess what you are doing? Mm-hmm. And that's what we have to do. I have no desire to take a vaccine, but I believe that anyone who wants to take a vaccine should be able to take a vaccine. And the fact that you don't have it available for them is troubling for me.
Hold that thought. Let's get this caller on the line.
But I'm not sure if you noticed that Mr. Munroe said he didn't take the vaccine, and I'll move on with that.
Mr. Munroe had been very clear that he was taking the vaccine.
He's supposed to be campaigning.
We got the caller on the line. Caller, you're on the hit back. Welcome. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Welcome. Hello. Okay, I think we may have lost the caller. Please feel free to give us a call back. 32. I gotta get the numbers. I'm trying to give away numbers and don't remember the number. How? Why do I do that? And I have the numbers all the time. All right, everyone, you're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Ca Newry, Wayne Munroe, QC joining us on the show. So Anna says, someone says, hi, last night was the first time I listened to the PM for a while. I must say he was at his best game. He sounded good to me. And I think I walked away, and I'm a tough critic of the Prime Minister. People wouldn't say I hold any brief with the Prime Minister. I I thought it was his better performance there. And so he's been coached. His speech writing was better because even though it may have been all of those things that were mentioned about what will soon come, I already knew that they had no plan, right? Like I knew already before the speech that they were flying at the seat of their pants because we were at 100 persons already additionally from 180 to 280 before we had a press conference. It was the Minister of Health giving us the emergency orders declaration, these new adjustments in the act, not my prime minister. So I already knew because we have doctors. I had Dr. Williams Lockhart on the show calling for some sort of state of emergency. We need more nurses. We need more doctors. Dr. Lockhart called me this morning and said, Nahaja, actually this afternoon, it was 2:00. And she said, Nahaja, from 7 a.m. to now, which is 2 p.m., I've seen 7 different families. That's what she told me. That's crazy. So this is the level that we're dealing with this community spread. People are calling the station, trying to find help. And Dr. Lockhart, this is beyond the pale. So we already knew. So I wasn't surprised, Wayne, when he said we will soon come. We're going to get 18 beds. 18 beds? 18 beds? Samaritan Purse will be done with the tent. Samaritan Purse is still giving us a tent. You know how crazy this is?
So what you're saying in effect is because you had such low expectations, he's satisfied though. That's about right. That's
about right. Yeah. No, I guess that's true.
To suspect and expect so little from him that so long as
I think the thing that we were expecting was, would there be more restrictions? And by not giving more restrictions, I think because that's the only thing people were listening to hear.
No,
what were the other restrictions?
But that makes it worse because at the very least, you should introduce testing for everyone entering the country. Mm-hmm. At the very least, since that is what everybody else is doing. And it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. And the CDC's guidelines seems to suggest that you should be testing everyone who enters your country, and we're not doing it. And that will bring the Delta variant to this country if it's not already done so, and it's going to kill many Bahamians. So although this is very amusing, because we have a medical doctor who seems ambivalent about scientific fact about vaccinated being able to catch and spread COVID, it is going to result in Delta coming here because our tourists come from the US where there is a bunch of Delta. And our tourists come from the US where there are other variants. And this joker has decided not to test them if they are vaccinated. And simply because he doesn't impose other restrictions on us. And in my judgment, we're not the problem. Mm-hmm. The problem when you go to Eleuthera and you see hotspots, it's because you have a lot of yachts in Eleuthera.
That's right.
Everywhere you have a big hotspot in the Family Islands, it's because you have foreigners. You have a big hotspot in the Bahamas because you have foreigners entering, vaccinated, no testing. So at the very least, they ought to immediately introduce testing for everyone entering the Bahamas, vaccinated or not, as they have in the US, as they have in any other Caribbean country, because it will cause Delta to come here and it will kill a lot of us, plain and simple.
Something I wanted to ask you, Wayne, and you're right, no joke, because we need proper leadership. And that's the thing that's here where I don't even, but I don't want to get there because I don't know what they're doing, but now they say that they're working on it. So that's great news. We're working on it now.
Working on what? Just say produce a negative test to enter the Bahamas.
Well, that would be great. That's one that they're not touching. They're not touching that at all. They're not going to acquiesce to that. And we see that as the case, right? Just go ahead and say, if you're coming in, provide a negative PCR test, though vaccinated, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And you cannot say that persons, for the record, for people to understand this process, if I come in with no PCR, but a negative, but vaccinated, as long as I leave before the 5 days, I don't have to take an antigen test. So you'll never know if I'm positive or not, if I'm a carrier or not. You'll never know. I'll just leave.
Well,
Oh, but the United States will ask for their antigen test, but that's private between the United States and that passenger.
Well, let's assume you come in, and in 5 days we find out you had Delta, and you met with a whole lot of people in that 5 days, and you were positive when you came in. We're being told that they are now adding 40 new people to their contact tracing team.
Mhm.
Now, how much positive cases have we increased from the beginning, where this contact tracing team was stretched, to now that we have 1,600 per month, and we're just adding 40 people? And we are bragging that that is sufficient to trace contacts, especially when we do not test people who are coming in who may be positive. You know, when you talk about following the science, you really have to follow the science. And the science says, test to make sure that this person isn't infected. Because if you're vaccinated, guess what? You're likely to be an asymptomatic carrier. So
That's all it is.
you can look quite healthy, and you can go out to the fish fry and you can spill a gate with us, and you know us. We like the Yankee dollar. So we can be talking up with you and the rest of that, and we want to give the tourists, you know, the Bahamian experience. And some of the young fellas looking for something, so you know they're gonna be little chasing after a little something. And some of the and so all of that is gonna happen with people who may be positive, who haven't been tested, and who will bring Delta to the Bahamas if they've not already done so.
And this is where we are, where we actually believe that it is already in country, period. Right? We know based on what physicians are saying on the ground. But I wanted to ask you something interesting. So with the orders and with the orders that have been executed, interesting thing, and I thought it was something I had to ask you. If something is said on air but not in the orders, do I need to follow it?
Not if it's not reduced to writing.
It's not reduced to writing. So it's not.
If it's not reduced to writing and gazetted, then it doesn't become the law. So once it's pronounced, it has to be reduced to writing and gazetted.
Okay, because the no spas thing has not been, you could tell this seriously is an issue for me, that it's not been reduced to writing and it has not been gazetted, but there is a flyer from the Ministry of the Office of the Prime Minister saying that spas are closed. It's causing a lot of confusion. If it's not gazetted, if it's not in writing, then what? How is that even going around? Like, have you seen something like that happen before?
I must confess that they put out a lot of things that have no relationship to what is gazetted, because they put out these little flyers, these little memes. But you have to depend on what is actually gazetted. And then when you look at what is gazetted, they are irrational. So, for instance, you can only be in church for 1 hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can go to the movies.
That's right.
What movie do you know lasts only an hour?
Makes no sense.
So you can sit down and watch frivolity for more than an hour, but you cannot worship your God for an hour. And in the case of the New York Catholic Diocese and Governor Cuomo, the Supreme Court of the U.S. found that irrationality rendered that law unconstitutional. So I have no doubt that our laws suffer from the same infirmity.
But what about also, there's another one that's just, the most egregious. One of the dumbest things I've ever seen, really. And there's a lot of dumb things that I've seen during this period in the pandemic. But one where you're telling people in their own homes, gatherings of five persons is allowed in my home, and everyone must be vaccinated. What level of dumbness would that explain to me? Who wrote that? Who wrote that? Like, where? How? Wayne, how?
It's not very thought through, because if you want to gather with 6 persons, all you need to do is go to a restaurant.
But how you get in my house, though?
Forget that for a moment. If you want to meet with any number of people, you can go to a restaurant.
That's right.
Or you can go to the gym. Or you can go to church.
To the hairdresser.
Or you can go to the movies. So clearly, there's no rationality in the actual orders, because you would expect that everything would be lined up, where you would see, you would understand the consistency of it all. But you don't have consistency. And then, of course, on top of that, the competent authority can exempt anyone he chooses.
That's what he's been doing.
Yep.
Just random.
Yep.
And so I'm sorry. This is where the crazy comes in for me with this whole process. It just don't make sense, Wayne. A lot of these things do not make sense. Even in your competent hour, how do you say that the only business that closes is the one called a spa, but you got every other business open and having mitigation options? Then you change your mind with restaurants. Then you go into my house and tell me how many people, and not just how many people in my house, in my private domain, where I can choose to do what I wish, where this government has been open with saying you can choose to rape your wife if you wish. It ain't our business. Let the state stay out of that. But you want to tell me how many people I can have in my house, plus they got to be vaccinated? Y'all done lost your cotton picking mind. They done lost their mind. They done lost their mind, Wayne.
Nahaja, pay $15 for a negative antigen test and go to the hotel and have a big party at Sky Bar.
Bam, done.
because the hotels don't have any of these restrictions, because
they're exempt. They still make money.
Because clearly COVID don't spread in hotels.
No.
Clearly.
And none of the employees are Bahamian. None of them are Bahamian, and everyone is foreign, and that's contained, and it's not an issue.
No. Bahamians go to them, and these are the foreigners who come in vaccinated, untested, who probably bring in Delta, who mix in with your population, and all us can go there.
Hang out.
Yeah.
Man, look here.
So you can't hang out in your house, but you could go hang out with a bunch of foreigners at Sky Bar who may have Delta, who haven't been tested. And they say that makes sense. And he say he's a doctor trying to save your life.
Y'all ain't feel it, but the word, he preached the word, man. You did watch out for your neighbor. You didn't listen to the word, Wayne?
I read it. I read. I am not impressed. You see, in this day and age, we submit written submissions a lot. So we read what you say. And so when I show up in court these days, the judges have my submissions and they start to ask me questions immediately. What I would suggest we do for the Prime Minister in the future is to say, look, Chief, just send us your national address and just come ready to answer questions. Assume we can read it and we can publish it to the public and we just can ask you questions on it, because that's what it's about. Other than that, you just playing with us, because I don't care how sincere you seem. What is his position about the Good Samaritan? That is a totally inappropriate parable, because if they had vaccines, people could vaccinate and protect themselves from people who choose not to be vaccinated. So the fault is on him not having vaccines for people who want to protect themselves. So I don't understand all this nonsense about the Good Samaritan. Stop promising vaccines, get vaccines. People who want it can get it and protect themselves.
And give us choices. Give us choices in vaccines if you can.
Yeah, that's not an appropriate parable. Because if he was the Good Samaritan, he would have had vaccines. But he clearly ain't the Good Samaritan, because he didn't have vaccines. The Good Samaritan is the one who helped the wounded person. So if the public is wounded in need of vaccines, he didn't provide them. And they've been promising it for ages, to the point that we're borrowing vaccines from people now. And that's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And the Americans sending them all over the world, and we still discussing getting ours. I wonder what that's all about.
Wayne Munroe, QC. Boy, I tell you, you put a giant axe to that tree called great speech. Cecil, it wasn't great. Now, Cecil was always running out about great speech.
Me, I enjoyed the speech. This was the best speech the Prime Minister put forward so far. Now, like I said, it didn't give much details on when these things will happen. And that's all semantics, I understand that. And as Wayne Munroe's a lawyer. It's his job to find loopholes, and he found the loopholes. But that still doesn't take from the fact that it was the best delivered speech the Prime
Best
Minister
delivered
has
speech he's
given
ever did.
so far.
Yeah, that may well be so. I don't take
And
that
I believe
from him.
if Wayne Munroe had listened to it, he would have been transfigured. He would have changed.
It was it was different from what I read.
Yes, it was much different. It was emotive.
How so?
You went into a trance. You
No,
went
no,
into a trance, and you
was
became a believer. You became a believer and said, "Yes, I can. I am my brother's keeper."
Okay, the content was the same.
The content was the same, but it was his voice. His voice was.
No, I didn't walk away saying I'm a believer. I didn't.
You wasn't
I
a
didn't.
believer?
No.
That's because he turned off it when he started preaching.
Yeah.
So what y'all are telling me is that people are not motivated by content, but by things other than what you're telling me.
Well, the only thing people were there to listen to, because we already knew stuff, Wayne.
Yes.
We already knew what he could say.
Yes.
It wasn't what he couldn't deliver what he couldn't. He couldn't add any extra.
No.
The campaign part of it at the beginning, this is the best economy we've ever had, and da da da. It was believable. It really was. He made it believable. To those who didn't know the math of the numbers, he made it believable.
No, forget the math of the numbers. He just didn't pay these people.
He said, "Son, it's coming." Son.
Yeah. So I get my gunk in my pocket, but I ain't pay you.
Don't worry about that. The issue of respect.
And I promised to pay you the 28, but I ain't pay you. But believe me, I have the money.
We rich. You just don't know. It ain't for you yet. It just ain't for you yet.
Okay, so if that is true, then that should make people more angry.
Listen, someone said if we thought it was a great speech, we're doomed.
No. What you are saying may actually be true. It's his best speech ever. But when you have such poor precursor speeches, it may not be very difficult to be the best speech ever.
That's true. I'm with you on that. The standards are so low because of expectations. He could listen. All this brother needs to do right now is amass some wins. This wasn't necessarily a win, but it was definitely his better performance, and that is what I think was the takeaway for me as someone watching, knowing. After the was listening, I'm like, okay, all right, nothing here, nothing meaty. Okay, he didn't lock us down, and this was the best performance he ever gave. But Wayne, we got to talk. We have to take a break. Wait, hold on. Let me grab this caller before we go. So don't leave. Caller, you're on the hit back. Welcome. I'm well. It's a little muffled. If you have your hand over the microphone or something. Okay, try again.
Is that better?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. What I've got on the water, what you guys are saying just now is that even though y'all claim that it was his best speech ever, well, I got tired of his speech 4 speeches ago. And it actually depresses me because, like you say, we know what he's gonna say, and then the sense of the change of delivery and all that type of stuff. Also too that he's not a good person on defending himself. How could you defend me if you can't defend yourself? Because here it is today, the whole day, everybody you talk to, okay, you see the loophole and the weakness in you. Come on, man, you're supposed to be our leader, our gladiator, our defender. Okay, you don't have it. And you're mad because they call brave. Man, come on. Okay, no envy the man. Okay, don't envy the man. You in the chair, you on the throne, you saying what a restaurant could open, what can open, and all that type of stuff. What bar you could go to, and the next one down the road closed because you don't like that one. Okay, and you still mad at Brave. You have all this privilege to make these decisions, and you mad at Brave because he could deliver. Come on.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. I think that's Sparky. Thank you so much. We got to take a break. Wayne, thank you so much, my friend. It's always a pleasure having you on.
Yes.
All right. Wayne Munroe, QC. Oh, I got Wayne making him enlarge. And we got to take a quick break. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. Ca Newry joining me on the show. When we come back, our good friend Joey Gaskins, senior partner of Open Current. We're going to talk a bit about some of these polls right before the Prime Minister's address. Let's see what is going on there. We'll be back right after this.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
COVID-19. Do not panic. Be prepared. Stay informed about local COVID-19 updates from trusted and reliable sources. Wash your hands regularly and be sure to have hand sanitizers readily available. Keep your surroundings clean and disinfect all surfaces that carry germs. Talk to your family and friends about protecting themselves and staying healthy. For more information on COVID-19, check the Ministry of Health's website at www.bahamas.gov.bs/health and the Bahamas Ministry of Health Facebook page.
This message brought to you by Bahamas Ministry of Health in conjunction with Guardian Radio.
Girl, Junior just showed me Bella Boy in his phone. What you mean? He take picture of that good for nothing boy? Shh, you don't want Bella hair. You say that. You know she always say that's my good child. So what he doing in Junior phone? Oh, he there because the police looking for him. He on their wanted list. Wanted persons in your phone now? Yes, child. And when police want to find anybody quick, after something happen, they can send picture direct to your phone. Go to Google Play or App Store and search for Crack Crime Bahamas, then pick install and it will go straight to your phone. There is also a section on missing persons. Yes, girl. Everybody needs to get this app so police can tell us right away when these people go missing. Just like an alert system. Yes, it has numbers for Crime Stoppers Bahamas so you can call and nobody knows it's you. Call directly to Miami and give the information without giving your name or anything about you. I tried the other day and when I hear Junior and his boys talking about where they hide those guns, I walk quick around the corner and call that number.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
When I had got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. That's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. I hope everybody's doing well and taking care of themselves. My good friend Ca Newry is my co-host today. We have a special guest joining us, my good friend, and he used to, when he used to hang out with broke people, he used to, sit in with me and join me on the show one time or two. He hosted my show for me. And this was when he used to hang out with us common folk, Now he is, what I think he has like 16 degrees, yes. Right? He's fluent in at least 11 languages. He has met royalty, right? And the brother is, and it helps that the brother is just so darn good looking. Like, how? I didn't know I'm embarrassing him. He's a beige fellow. Sorry, Cecil. He's a beige fellow, so he's turning a bit red. But my good friend, who I haven't seen in a long time. I really thought someone stole him and put him in the house of a plantation or something, but he's good. He's alive. He's alive and kicking. Friend and senior partner now, of a well-respected company that is now in the news, right? Always in the news and in the know. My good friend, Joey Gaskins. Joey, how are you?
Hey guys, how are you guys doing?
Did you like my intro? I thought it was definitely original. I liked it for you.
Much. It was over the top.
It's too much?
Yeah, it was too much.
It was a lot, but I'm not complaining though. I'm not complaining, but it was a lot.
You don't mind Cecil. He gets jealous. He can't handle the pressure.
Quickly, get jealous quickly.
Joey Gaskins, senior partner of Open Current. Joey, recently you guys have been in the news, and I know you're sitting there. You're like, yeah, we were in the news. We weren't planning to be in the news. We ended up being in the news. Your face was on every space there is in terms of journalism, and it is because of one supposedly leaked. I hear y'all keep saying leaked, Joey. I hear y'all keep saying leaked. But it's a leaked document, a leaked newsletter from your company, Open Current, which showed polling from two constituencies, Seabreeze and St. Barnabas, that where many of your polled your polled individuals said that they felt the country was going in the wrong direction. And why I wanted you on the show today is because, of course, polling is going to be a big part of this process. Mm-hmm. And I know that your company is doing it for your own clients, not necessarily for this election. Give us an idea of what that document was, and what you were trying to convey there to your clients.
So, as always, Nahaja, thanks for inviting me on. It's always a pleasure to be on the show. And yeah, I have been missing for a while. So I want to publicly apologize to you for being an absentee partner in what you do, which is really engage the Bahamian people in what I think is thoughtful and important conversations. So I'm good to be back. And CA, it's good to see you as well on the other side of the screen. So let's talk a little bit about what the newsletter is and why that leaked language is happening. So we produce a number of resources for our clientele that goes specifically to them. We gift our clients at the beginning of the year polling that is specific to their organization. We call them temperature checks. They get 4 or 5 national polling questions that we hand over to them at the beginning of the year. The idea is to give them the strategic foundation, right? The research and insights foundation from which they can make strategic decisions for the year ahead, right? Throughout the course of the year, we do a mid-year temperature check for our clients as well. And we also share data on things that are really important to them. Mm-hmm. So I want to be very clear that our FDI clients in particular are very concerned about when the next election is going to be. Mm-hmm. We were fielding a half a dozen to a dozen calls a day from folks asking, when is it going to be? Yeah. Have you heard anything? I had a client pick up a link from a gossip website that we all know that was saying that election was going to be called in August in a panic, mm-hmm. right? Saying, is this accurate? But of course, they don't know what sources to make sense of, mm-hmm. to trust. They don't understand some of the inspiration behind some of those mm-hmm. gossip sites and what they are there specifically to do.
Right.
So we decided 3 weeks ago that we would produce a bi-weekly newsletter for our clients that was specific for the election.
Oh, right? Wow. Okay.
This allows us to gather the most important news stories and send it directly to them. So if somebody sent you the full newsletter, you'll see that there are links to news articles and links to evening news broadcasts, right? Mm. But what I do is to make it even easier for them is I take an hour out of my day twice a week to write a short blurb that summarizes what's in those news articles, but also what we are hearing in the work that we do, right? So that's the insights part. That's the stuff that they don't get, right?
Right.
This makes it easy, accessible, and convenient for our clientele. We thought it would be really cool for them, particularly because they need to know, okay, in this heightened political moment, what are the things that we need to be kind of pinging on to help either increase public opinion, positive public opinion, mm-hmm. to help leverage this moment for particular approvals, right? To move things along through government processes, to get meetings set. And so those 3 questions in particular were geared towards that. Now, the research came out of our desire to test constituency level polling, which is something that we do not do very often, right?
Right.
Everybody also always wants national polling.
Yep.
Right? National polling is great, but in the type of election that we have, first past the poll, how many constituencies have you locked in? Constituency level polling is really important. We don't have any political clients, right? We have the government of the Bahamas, agencies, right? And we have corporate clients, private sector clients, but we do not do and have not done any polling for any political party.
Okay,
any
that's good.
specific candidate, right?
Yep.
We have no paying clients, nobody's got us on nothing like that. So I think a lot of people thought, either this is political surveying that leaked or this is a political newsletter. It is really a business advisory newsletter. Now, our clients may want to take the $20,000 worth of research that's reflected, which is a gift to them and adds value to their strategic decision making, and want to give that out. But that was never our intention.
With this,
all right, not at all. No,
okay.
I would have written a press release. I would have done the media tour if we wanted this to be out. And I think there's other information if we wanted it to be out that's attached to these constituency level polling. That's a little bit more interesting than
I would like. We'll talk.
Questions, right?
Yeah, we'll talk after the show.
Yeah, we'll talk after. We can talk. But if we really wanted to cause a ruckus, that would have been the direction that we went in, and we left. If you read the newsletter, we say, for more information, please give us a call. We're happy to walk you through that research, right? So that's really kind of the context, since that's what you wanted, right?
If Joey Gaskins here with us, we're talking about the recent poll by Open Current, done with 2 constituencies. Joey, what I want to find out is, why did you choose those 2 constituencies, Seabreeze and St. Barnabas?
Yeah, so they are constituencies with 2 different but not extremely different profiles, right? Which made it comparable to us, we thought, right? So you do have different socioeconomic profiles in Seabreeze constituency versus your St. Barnabas constituency. St. Barnabas and Seabreeze, different kinds of voting histories, but also assumptions around what kind of voting will happen in both those constituencies. One, we felt it would be considered more of an FNM constituency, one more PLP. And we wanted to see where trends collided, right? To see if we could calculate or do some extrapolation and make sense of trends in what would be 2 different, but not extremely different. So we're not talking, for example, St. Barnabas and, Cat Island, right? Or Rumkey, San Salvador, and the rest, right? You have some similarities, but you have some significant differences. And also, you have in St. Barnabas, politician, one who's incumbent and the other who is known, right? And is a known element. You have in Seabreeze, a little bit of a different arrangement, right? With its
Seabreeze is your candidates in Seabreeze are FNM. Both are new. All of them are new. Yeah.
Yes, both of them are new. The former incumbent would have been Lanisha Roll, who is no longer running in Seabreeze, right? Leslie Miller is on your PLP side, right?
Yes.
So different dynamics as well. And then we just wanted to compare those things.
Yeah.
And again, this is expensive research. So we're not going to do this for our own benefit in 38 constituencies. I mean, that's heading towards $500,000, a little over $500,000 in research, which
St. Barnabas,
we got that kind of money in the Bahamas at this point to do research. Maybe when the election is called, because that's how that works.
That's how that works. We'll see who's rich or not. St. Barnabas has who are the candidates?
John Cartwright, and Michael Halkitis.
Okay, and with this, did you guys present any of the third parties as well?
Yes, in the numbers that are not shared, we look at third parties. Well, your Green Party, your coalition. We did the full slate actually, because again, we literally were testing. And I mean, let's be frank. And I said it in the screenshot that went out to media that I saw come back to me. You see in the first line in my little editorial blurb, I said election news coverage had devolved into a battle of the polls, right? Because you had that national internal poll that leaked. You had some other polling companies talking about the work that they were doing online. And again, a lot of our clientele were looking at these polls and going, what do I trust? Who should I trust? And that kind of stuff. And so we wanted to show them, I mean, it's a business development exercise as well, isn't it? We want to show them, listen, not only can we do this work and do it really well, we could do it as granularly as a constituency with a sample size that is comparable to some national polling. And we could do it well. So also weighted by age and gender. So it's representative of the population, and it's door to door. So these aren't phantom folks answering questions. We have actual handouts, that our survey administrators filled in. So methodologically, we thought, this is really strong. This is something that we want to show our clientele who usually asks for national polling. The other thing is we are working with clients whose investments may impact these communities too, right? And they want to know what these communities' priorities are in particular, which is one of the big questions for our investors. And that was question number 3, point number 3 I made in the newsletter.
Yeah, point number 3 in the newsletter.
Yeah, exactly.
Employment and job opportunities being 1.
Yes.
Healthcare 2 and economic growth 3.
Right. Yep. And I think, what's important there is really just combine or look at the job opportunity and employment and the economic growth and opportunities numbers. They're not separate numbers because the same people could have said one of those 3 things, right? But it is very significant that in both St. Barnabas and in Seabreeze, you have those things topping the list in the middle of a global pandemic, by the way, where you would think, you know what I mean, where you would think that healthcare or health would be a top priority, the top priority for folks.
Income first. Okay. So Joey Gaskins here. Joey, I want to grab to a call. Let's go to a call real quick. Caller, you're on the hit back. Welcome. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Hello, pleasant. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Try to turn on this. Try to turn this down. Okay, give me a break. Give me a break right now. Turn it down. Let's block out Sparky here.
Hi, Sparky.
Hey, Sparky.
This is Mr. Askin.
Yes, Sparky.
This Joey Askin Jr.
Joey Gaskin.
That's me. I'm Junior.
Joey Jr. So let me touch this quick. You had an uncle named Clive Askin.
Gaskin.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Specialist.
Yes.
You had an uncle named Garth Woods.
Side. Yes.
You had an aunt named Marsha Woods.
Marcy Smith. Yeah.
Right. And then your daddy was Joey.
Yes, Sparky.
From Grand Bahama, came to Nassau, went to Governor, different places and everything.
Right. Running out of time, Sparky.
Now, what I trying to find out now I hear these different places now. Now, I got to ask this question because a lot of people don't like this black-white. They're shooting. Where, Joey, where do the white people and the rich elite people, I got to say the white people, where do they live in New Providence compared to where do the black people live in New Providence? Because the white people don't be around Wolf Road, Carmichael Road, East Street South, nowhere. The white people be around Blair State, Nassau East, Yamacraw, Vinton, all of them places, Life Key, Old Fort Bay, and this and that and that. And they don't even take part in nothing we do in the Bahamas other than have their businesses and make money. Now, I'm trying to figure out when you all do your survey is taking them white people because I know them white people will get back to the UBP.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sparky.
Thanks, Sparky. So that's a really good question. I think Sparky is referring more to our national polling, right?
Yeah.
This is another methodological question. Happy to answer this as well. So the way that we run national polling is by random sampling, right? Our computer, we have a 16-seat call center here. A lot of our folks are working virtually right now. Our computers have the first 3 numbers of Bahamian phone numbers, and it randomly generates the last 4 and calls them, right? That means that every Bahamian with a landline, we could talk about the methodology around this, has an equal opportunity at any given time of being chosen, right, to take a survey. On top of, so yes, whether you are in Yamacraw, in Albany, Lightfoot Key, wherever you are, if you have a landline in the Bahamas, you have an equal chance as any other Bahamian with a landline in the Bahamas to get called by one of our survey takers, right? Now, a number of other things happen. Some people say, I don't want to be on this. I don't want to take no survey. I don't want to tell you all how much I make a year. I don't want to, this, that, and the next. What we also do, though, is if we get one more type of person or more types of wealthy people than people making under $30,000 a year or whatever that may be, we do what we call weighting. So we look at census data and we go, actually, these types of people only represent this proportion of the Bahamian population. And so we're going to ensure that their answers align. So I see somebody commented, if we only dial landlines, does it skew to older populations? Really good question, Sunny, right? So this is something that we're actually figuring out right now from a tech side. But historically, here's what we know. When we test landline against door-to-door, there is very little, if any, divergence in the quality of the answers. So up to now, we have not seen the data be affected by the fact that we only call landlines. We believe, though, as an organization, that is changing, and it is changing rapidly. And so we are working to put new technology in place, literally as we speak, to address that issue.
I have to, because we're running out of time, Joey, I have to ask this question because there's another question to that, but I can't get to that one. What was the surprise? What was the most surprising thing? We have 60 seconds. Most surprising result or answer that came out of that survey for you guys?
So I think the most we could do this again if you want to, Nahaja.
Please, yes.
I think one of the most surprising results for me is that in both St. Barnabas and Seabreeze, people between the ages of 18 and 35 trend 5 to 6 percentage points higher in their belief that the country is going in the wrong direction, which is, I think, a serious problem. We talk about that and why that's important for business, right? And for our corporate clients. But if I were a politico on either side, that would be a very difficult thing for me to swallow. Right? Mm-hmm. Because not only are young people the most disappointed by the direction of the country, they are also the largest voting bloc. They are also registering at the slowest pace.
Yep.
Right? So if you're on opposition, right, not giving advice, free advice here. If you're on opposition, these people are the most upset. You want them to register
get on the vote
and come out to vote. If you are government, you would want to be disappointed at that your largest voting bloc who would come out to support you as an incumbent is the least satisfied with the direction of the country, right? And as a researcher, I find that young people tend to be a bit more hopeful about things or see opportunity where some of us who are a bit stuck in the routine of our lives, right, see no option. And these young people are actually in quite the opposite. They feel very out of sorts. So that was very surprising for me.
Thank you so much, Joey. We got to go. Joey Gaskins, Senior Partner, Ca Newry. Thank you so much, buddy. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja, Black Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM. Everyone have a good day. We're out.